Zoom in. Alrighty guys, so we have a 2007 Fireblade here that hasn't run in about a year. It did have an issue where it had gotten dropped, had some wires short out, and the battery actually melted on it. But even after all of the obvious damage was repaired, the motorcycle still would not start. So I came in here just to have a look. First thing I noticed when I tried to fire up the bike was I had absolutely no sound coming from it when I turned on the key. No fuel pump priming. So we went ahead and investigated why the fuel pump was not priming. And so here's where we come on to the, oop, this sucker just popped off. Here's where we come on to the multimeter basics again. First thing you want to check for is voltage at the actual harness of the motorcycle. So I disconnected the fuel pump and I had to figure out which one of these prongs actually powers the fuel pump itself, since we don't have any kind of manual. So the way that I did that is purely based on logic. When you first turn on the fuel pump, it only primes for a few seconds, which means it should only have power for a few seconds. And of course, you always have a ground on all of these connections, so one of them is just going to have continuity to ground. And of course, you have your fuel level sensor, which should have continuous power at any time the motorcycle's powered. So our leftmost prong is the ground, because I had continuity to ground. The middle prong, I don't know if y'all can see it there, was determined to be the actual sensor's power, and the right side prong was determined to be the power to the fuel pump. Now the prong did become energized when the key was turned, so that we know the fuel pump was being supplied with power. However, when the actual fuel pump's harness was plugged in, the voltage stayed zero at all times. The reason this is because there's actually a short circuit inside the fuel pump itself. When I looked for continuity between the ground side and the fuel pump power side, I had full continuity. That should not be the case. This means that the pump actually has an internal short and is not electrically capable of running. So we went ahead and we sprayed some starter fluid inside the airbox, and it didn't start, but man, it sounded like it was trying. So I think what we're gonna have to do is go ahead and replace the fuel pump, and I think from there I think this bike will fire up. So that's our troubleshooting process here. We'll try to update you when it gets running.